let us continue our exploration of Journey of the Heart, Chapter 9. This is part 3, so let's have a look and see what message are we going to get from wisdom from the Epics of Hin today. What message are we going to get? That was interesting. Okay, Shakuni's grudge. So what grudge are you holding on to? So what are you holding on so tight that you're stagnant, that you're stuck in this emotional feeling? What's causing this? It's really time to get back to your past, acknowledge your past so that you can move forward. So let's have a read of the story. Shakuni's grudge. Shakuni was a brother to his virtuous sister Gandhara. He was extremely intelligent and devoted to his family. Bhishma, the head of the Kuru clan, waged war upon Shakuni's family to coerce them into getting Gandharis married to the blind king Dhritarashtra. They were tortured, starved, and many of them were killed. Shakuni survived, and to remind himself that he had to avenge his family, he twisted his own leg that gave him a permanent limp. He remembered the pain and the vengeance with every step he took. Ultimately, Gandhari was married to Dhritarashtra. Shakuni moved to Hatsinpur to accompany his sister. He secretly vowed to ruin the entire Kuru clan that had destroyed his family. He began with poisoning the minds of his young nephews, the Kauravas, against their cousins, the Pandavas, and succeeded in doing so. Shakuni came up with and executed a devious plan, including the game of dice between families. His conflicts with the Kuru clan led to the devastating Mahabharata war, which not only ruined the Kuru clan, but also his own self, his sister, and his nephews whom he so loved. Questions you are to ask yourself: are you continuing to hold on to the grudges, even if they hurt you, by constantly reminding you of what happened? Do you replay toxic moments again and again in your mind? How does that make you feel? Are you willing to hurt people even if it costs you your own serenity? Actions to take. Release grudges for your own sake. You don't deserve to live in the jail of others' mistakes. Sit back and let karma do its job. Distract yourself from thinking of toxic moments with some good music, a soothing bath, a fun workout, a walk, a conversation, or maybe even by dressing up for yourself. Keeping your spirits happy will nullify grudges. Those who have wronged you are already beneath you. Work on getting justice, not revenge. The message is: darkness cannot end darkness. Only light can dispel darkness. It is not too late to come back from your revenge. Oh, that's some stuff, you know. There are times when we just hold on to something that's just not good for us in regards to relationships on some level. So let's continue our exploration of Chapter 9. Projecting and polarizing. Oh, very, very interesting straight away about projecting that grudge on your feelings on others. Okay, let's have a look at this. Let's take a nice deep breath. As the first blush of falling in love wears off, two partners' scripts increasingly take over and influence their perception of each other, unconsciously assigning each other's roles in their inner dramas. They project their hopes and fears, co-creating a distorted reality that can be destructive to them both. Moreover, people often choose a partner with a script that is the mirror reversal of their own. Thus, a person with a fear of engulfment or pair up with someone who has a fear of abandonment. David and Jan were such a couple. Whenever his fear came up, he would create distance. This in turn would bring up her fear, which would make her grab at him, further activating his fear of engulfment. Pressing each other's buttons in this way, they became polarized in mutual antagonistic positions that threatened to drive them apart. Jan's father had been emotionally distant, and this had made her distrustful that a man could ever be there for her. Thus she regarded David's need for solitude and his own space as a constant threat. She was always wary that David might be on the verge of leaving her, and would repeatedly seek proof that he really loved her. David, on the other hand, became suspicious whenever women expressed their affection too ardently or demanded his in return. His father had been a busy executive who had had little time for his family. As a result, David's mother had turned to her son to fill her emotional needs. Feeling overwhelmed by his mother's needs and lacking protection from his father, David had learnt to protect himself by keeping a safe distance from her. So when Jan approached him out of her abandonment panic, he became claustrophobic and went into an engulfment panic. He could not understand Jan's urgency unless she was like his mother, out to eat him alive. And Jan could not understand why he would be so unwilling to give her what she needed unless he was like her father, distant, punishing, and cold. Their fights, underneath all their convoluted tangles, had a single theme. Jan, you're abandoning me. David, no, you're demanding and attacking. Jan, no, you're abandoning me. David, no, you're engulfing me. Both of them were dreaming up a similar story, that the one they loved was also their oppressor. In reality, neither of them fit this role. Yet insofar as these stories coloured their perceptions, Jan and David could not see each other clearly or perceive what was going on between them. To avoid feeling the pain of old wounds from childhood, each of us had gone unconscious or asleep in certain parts of ourselves. Out of the sleep we dream up fearful imaginings about our intimate partner. In disowning part of ourselves, we make them other, projecting them outside ourselves and overreacting to them when we see them there. Most serious relationship conflicts are fueled by this kind of projection. Thus, when my partner expresses something I fear in myself, I may recoil in an exaggerated way. If I'm afraid of my anger, hers feels overwhelming. If I can't stand my need, hers makes me feel claustrophobic. I react to my partner's anger or need by pushing her away because I'm afraid to experience these feelings myself. To avoid feeling the pain of old wounds from childhood, each of us has gone unconscious or asleep in certain parts of ourselves. Out of the sleep we dream up fearful imaginings about our intimate partner. In disowning parts of ourselves we make them other, projecting them outside ourselves and overreacting to them when we see them there. Most serious relationship conflicts are fueled by this kind of projection. Thus, when my partner expresses something I fear in myself, I may recoil in an exaggerated way. If I'm afraid of my anger, hers feels overwhelming. If I can't stand my need, hers makes me feel claustrophobic. I react to my partner's anger or need by pushing her away because I'm afraid to experience these feelings of myself. Consequently, my inner struggle against unwanted parts of myself turns into an outer struggle with her. Yet, try as we may to ignore part of ourselves, our larger intelligence wants us to recognize them so that we can live more fully by having access to the whole of our experience. Thus, it was no accident that Jan and David had chosen each other. Their larger intelligence drew them together because they could help each other heal old wounds and recover important missing pieces of themselves. Yet this healing could not occur as long as they related to their projections unconsciously, actually seeing each other as the source of their fear and reacting in exaggerated ways. Couples in this kind of struggle have a choice. They can insist that their fearful imaginings are reality, in which case these projections become solid barriers between them, or else they can bring their awareness to the exaggerated reactions and use their projections as signposts to just point to discern parts of themselves they need to integrate. When a couple can use their conflict to develop this kind of awareness, it can serve them as a path by helping them wake up from their scripts, relate to old needs and fears in new ways, and thus develop a stronger connection. Okay, that's it for today. Don't forget to check the links down below. Check the links on my channel. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you know when the next video will be uploaded. Take care. Blessed be.